What's good, Black Star Podcast? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Jared. Today we're gonna be looking at a video from Anton, and this is about how a lot of black women are getting laid off. Now, this woman is saying that black women are struggling the most after layoffs from the federal government. Now, I want you guys to take this and analyze it. Look at this.
Listen, I am no economist. I hate economics. I dreaded that class in school. But I know black people. And so the signs about the impact of this mess on black people were there very, very early on. As soon as Elon Musk started running through our federal government, destroying ish, I knew that was not going to be good for black people. Even without the data, I just knew anecdotally that the federal government buoys, it is an anchor for the black middle class. I knew in my own family that basically my mom, my parents' entire generation of my family all worked for the federal government. And they weren't even in like the DMV or some major federal government regions, but they all work for the feds. And so I knew this was not going to go over well. And we are getting more and more data about this. It's going to get worse in the next few months, though, because the people that took that early out, that weird option they got, that weird email, they're not even showing up as unemployed yet in our data. And then we know the data probably is even worse than what's being released because these people like to lie about this. But all the signs are saying that black people, the black unemployment rates are starting to be red flags for economists even economists who aren't even black, even they understand that when America gets a cold, black Americans get the flu. And we are the first red flag here, y'all, about how bad this economy is getting. And me and my friends, I'm telling y'all, we all got degrees and we are bracing ourselves for this because it's going to get worse, like significant.
Having a degree does not protect you or insulate you from the possibility of getting laid off. And we all know that the federal government, specifically, and a lot of parts of private industry and academia, has always been a place where black women have done the minimum. And when I say the minimum, they are not going into STEM fields. That's one of the reasons why you have places like Black Girls Code and all of this stuff, because you don't have to incentivize people that are doing the most or doing the best for themselves. Now, obviously, we know that, that does not absolve everybody, right? We know that there are people that do go into it. However, when I was in my software and engineering classes, I didn't see any black people. I didn't see that many women at all, let alone black women. So if we want to really talk about numbers, demographics, areas of study, having a liberal arts degree, African American studies, underwater basket weaving is like, as I like to call it, a lot of these different degrees. They got that as a minimum, ran up a whole bunch of student loan debt, went into the public sector so that they can get their loans forgiven on an income-based repayment plan over the next 10 years, and that way they didn't have to be responsible for what they did. That is the true summary of what it really was, right? The federal government for a long time, especially during the Biden administration, was extremely bloated. And the way that they were able to get away with these jobs numbers is because if you really started to break it down during the 4 years of the Biden administration, they were basically subsidizing all of these states and all of these major cities, especially sanctuary cities, with pandemic money. They were blowing up the federal budget in order to not invest in things that would be best for the United States of America long term, such as manufacturing jobs, the private sector, AI now, bringing chip manufacture. They didn't do any of that real stuff, right? But what they did was they kept on adding to the federal jobs, right? And so the jobs report was largely based off of taxing people more dollars, but never really making any real income or strides to make more income inside of the United States of America by building on American soil. What you're
Okay, let me simplify for a lot of people. Now, a lot of people are mad because Trump is trying to decrease the federal budget when it comes to federal jobs. Now, what Anton is saying is true. They increased the amount of federal jobs out there, but they never invested into the actual meat and potatoes of everything, which is business, local business. They had everything from mail jobs to different federal aid jobs, all these different jobs. But it never put into what it never actually made anything. It was only an expense. It was never anything that was crucial, especially when it came to taxes. It didn't really create any external jobs. So when I mean by external jobs, it didn't create any jobs that was in the private sector. Because if you really think about it, the private sector is what you and I we work. We work in the private sector. We don't work in the federal sector. So we work for companies and we get taxes taken out of our paychecks every time we get paid. Now, when you have a federal job, the taxes that we pay is paying for their salaries. When you have a surplus of federal jobs and you have no tax income from people that are working in the private sector, that's where you get a situation to where you don't have much of a tax. You don't have much taxes to implement into those jobs, so you got to cut back. That's the reason why we're in the That's the reason why we're in a deficit as it is, because we put money into all of these different programs that didn't benefit the U.S. and also took money, also sending money overseas to people that we shouldn't be sending money to in the first place. So you got all those different issues, but you not having anything on. You don't have any trade between countries and other companies, and taxes being brought in from the private sector. So you have basically a shit show.
We're seeing now is that people are going to have to compete for, and obviously we know that manufacturing and several different industries, and there's trillions of dollars is being invested in the United States of America, but that is not going to happen within 6 months as far as them building these places and plants and the jobs that's needed. But the question that we have to ask ourselves is, are black women or people that are most affected by the layoffs in the federal government, are they prepared to compete in the private sector based off of merit? And so when I see women a lot of times I say, and I have a degree, for me that don't mean anything because you don't have the skill set that is required for what the next generation of jobs is going to need in order for us to compete at the highest level and for you to remain employed. You know, men have always adjusted, shifted, done things with their hands, went into skilled trades, became linemen, worked in the oil field, some of the hardest jobs, right? We were willing to sacrifice and travel more instead of women being able to take maternity leave and stay at home or take time off and then jump back into the job market after they went to school for a whole bunch of years while they was chilling at home and working from home and also, you know, going to school online and stuff. And so guys have always adjusted to the marketplace, and that's how we chose our fields of study if and when we decided to go to college. That didn't happen for women. Women thought that the federal government would always, similar to housing markets, that it would never fail and that they would always have a job and they wouldn't be affected by what happens in society. And even if there was a pandemic or a collapse, that you would always have federal jobs because it was a safe place. You didn't make as much money as in the private sector, but you definitely benefited because you had job security, the best benefits, and you were able to get your student loans forgiven. All of that went out the window. And so now this is what we're facing inside of the culture today.
Significantly worse. So the unemployment rate for black men is 7.1%. For black women, it's 6.7%. These have all increased. This is the worst it's been since around the pandemic era. And then this is also scary as well. Black teens are having an unemployment rate of 24.8%. And y'all know, I not a stereotype, but young people need to have productive things to do. If not, they're going to find something to do and it will not.
I don't even know how they count that data because, for example, my daughter is a teen. She's never had a job. She'll probably never have a job until if she decides that she wants to work, if she decides that she doesn't want to work for the family business, then she probably will never actually get a physical job because that's not what I want her to do. I want her to remain a child. And I want her to, and I know I'm using anecdotal experience in order to illustrate a point, but I want her to focus on school. I want her to be a child. I want her to enjoy her childhood. And so she has plenty to do. She went out and she painted her parking spot as a senior today, over this weekend, over the last couple of days. And she hung out with her friends and she, went to the gym, and me and her go to the gym on the so y'all just got to get participatory in your children's lives.
Not be productive and you will not like it. And
Honestly, I'm gonna say this because they talking about how how teens don't have jobs. Most teens nowadays are not working. Most teens nowadays are literally at home focusing on their studies. And that's most teens. Like I said, for the most part, you only have a small percentage of the youth out there building, out there working and doing all this different stuff. What you really need to be actually talking about is my generation, the 20 and ups, or that just graduated in 18 and not going to college. That's the ones that you need to worry about, because they're the ones that's not out here working like that.
the other big data point that we've seen is 300,000 Black women have left the workforce in the last
320,000, and they've been laid off or fired.
3 months. I'm going to say that again. 300,000 Black women have left the workforce in the last 3 months. This is very concerning. And one of the clips I saw today talking about why Black unemployment should be a red flag for everybody is that a lot of the policies of this administration are going to impact them first. I'm saying them as I'm not one of them. It's going to impact us first because of the kind of jobs that we have in service industries and the federal government and things like that. And so
here's the problem. Y'all propped up that federal job like it wasn't gonna end, and y'all didn't realize that it was gonna fuck y'all over. Y'all was banking on, oh, I got a federal job, I got job security. Y'all didn't realize that job security depends on a need. If every Black woman got a job in the federal government, what would happen is they would literally cut the budget, try to minimize how many people are working at, and they're gonna fire a lot of you. That's the reason why I never understood why people always be like, "Oh, go get you a federal job." That's why I never understood it. Cause I'm like this. I'd rather work in the private sector because I can make more money. But a lot of people was banking on job security when it came to federal jobs. That I already knew that was never going to be a reality.
we are seeing very quickly these policies ain't good. They're not good. They do not create job growth. And
they're not good for you, but they're good for everybody else because it minimizes how much tax dollars everybody has to pay to y'all.
But one thing I always knew too is that people kept saying we have to shrink the federal government. Well, you got to do it more smart than that, in a more strategic way, because the federal government, if you go look at the history of the size of our federal government in terms of like jobs, it grew significantly to get us out to get us out of.
It's not what the federal government is for. We want smaller government. That's a part of what being a Republican is. You can't just subsidize people by giving them fake jobs and acting like they being productive. No, we need the right size of government, and we need to create more private sector jobs. That's not how you do it. We don't need to slowly get it off of attrition. No, we got to rip the Band-Aid off. And this is how it's always been in the private sector. And we need to start treating the government like the business that it is so that we can make sure that we not overtax and we don't collapse the United States of America with more debt by subsidizing people that don't appreciate what's happening and the people that's creating the jobs in the first place.
Out of the Great Depression. And they would always play with the number of jobs in the federal government to help the economy because it helps to buoy the entire economy. And then they starting to see too the agencies, the federal agencies that Trump and Elon Musk went after, Black people were disproportionately high in those agencies. Like we are in large
They
numbers
still
in those
going
agencies,
after them. They just not as overt with it because they caught a lot of feedback and backlash from it.
particularly Black women. Also, of course, DEI backlash. A lot of Black women held those jobs, Black men as well. So we're seeing impacts.
No, DEI did not benefit black men. So stop spewing that damn lie. DEI did not benefit black men. It didn't even benefit black women, to be honest with you. The only people that it benefited was white women. And I'm really trying to figure out, why do sisters keep on saying that DEI, saying this shit all about DEI? It's like, ma'am, DEI is not what you think it is. Y'all keep on propping up DEI because of what they've taught you. But what y'all don't realize is the very people that y'all keep on praising that keep on saying that DEI helped y'all, I'm gonna tell you the truth. They the ones that keep on laughing at y'all because they keep on saying it like this. We keep on lying to them. They gonna keep on spewing this shit. It's like, y'all gotta open their eyes up, because to be honest with you, the way that DEI and the way that a lot of this shit's really going, it was never to benefit black women. It was only to benefit white women.
This not good at all. And each time I see it, the rate for Black women is 7.5% unemployed right now. The U.S. unemployment rate is 4.3%. So now we don't have DEI to ensure. So we bringing back the old boys club because we don't have policies to prohibit that kind of stuff.
You need policy to be able to compete for the job that you want with other people that actually deserve it, maybe more than you. Okay, I'm gonna just leave that there. I'm gonna just make small commentary just to make sure that we all on the same page.
Has been since 2021, which of course is still pandemic related. Why do we think Republicans are better at this than Democrats? They tank the economy every time. I saw a post today that was like, every Republican in my entire life has tanked the economy. Reagan, Bush, and Trump. And the person said, and Trump has done it twice now. Twice. So
how did Trump tank it? All right, don't worry about it. We're gonna get there.
If you want to know where the economy is going, I suggest that you start tracking what's happening with Black people, because we are the early signs, the canary in the coal mine, about what's about to happen to the rest of this country. It is.
The bad part is we're the canary in the coal mine, but we never seem to actually realize that both political parties are sometimes a hindrance to all of us. We're always the canary in the coal mine, but we always tie ourselves to the Democratic Party. And just recently, we started trying to tie ourselves to the Republican Party instead of to our own ideology. And that's not me saying that I'm either a Republican or a Democrat. I'm not. Honestly, I'm neither. To be honest with you, I am an independent. But a lot of Black people tie themselves to the Democratic Party for no reason, because they've never given us anything to accept, or they never given us anything but they ass to kiss. Honestly, I'm tired of that shit. But anyways, guys, like, share, subscribe, channel, support the podcast, support.com. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.